Welcome to my presentation of the 10 best Roman emperors, in my opinion. Even this Chinese guy thinks so. So, number 10, we have Claudius. Born in the last decade of the BCs, he reigned till like the 60s AD, I think, before he was poisoned. During that time, he was the second most sane person during the Julio-Claudian dynasty, which is a big achievement considering that the Julio-Claudian dynasty has such likes as Caligula and Nero. What he did during his reign was conquer Britain, which previous emperors before him couldn't do. But the reason why he's at the top of that list is because he doesn't really contribute anything else other than the conquest of Britain. Number 9, we have Anntonius pius. Born in before like the hundreds AD. He didn't really do anything during his reign, but what he did is create a law that we still use today. A person's considered innocent until proven guilty, and because of that lasting legacy, he's above Claudius. Number 8, we have Aurelian, reigning for 2 years before he was assassinated as every other person in the 3rd century crisis. The reason why he's number 8 is because he reunified. He kept Rome together, conquering both the Gallic Empire and the Palmyrene Empire, which seceded for like a decade before being crushed. He was later assassinated by his own army. Number 7, we have Marcus Aurelius. Who knew that this dude decided to have a child, and that child decided to end one of the most prosperous times in Roman history? Anyway, but Marcus Aurelius was the last emperor of what was known as the 5 good emperors, which roughly lasted 100 years. He was also the last emperor of the Pax Romana, but that's not why we're talking about him. The reason why we're talking about him is because his lasting book, Legacy, Meditations, and his reconquest of both Pictish lands and like the parts of the Parthian Empire. Justinian, and number 6. The reason? Well, technically he's a Byzantine Empire, but Byzantium was technically Eastern Rome, so I'm counting him anyway. So the reason why he's on this list is because he brought the Byzantine Empire to its height, and he managed just the empire after Justinian's plague very effectively, in paying the Sassanids to leave them alone to stop the wars in the east, bringing back Rome after its sacking by Odoacer, reconquering parts of Africa and Spain, and just generally having a jolly good time. The only thing that is bad is that he sort of strained the treasury a little, and during the Nika riots he may have accidentally killed 30,000 people. But that face, he really doesn't care about this presentation, eh? Number 5, we have Vespasian. Well, why do we have Vespasian, do you ask? Well, the reason we have Vespasian is because he built the lasting legacy of the Colosseum, also known as the Flavian Amphitheater. While he was a general under the reign of Nero, he put down the Jewish revolt, and and he improved sanitation in the Roman Empire. So basically it was a jolly good time of development. The reason why he's not higher on the list, well, he didn't bring anything really to conquests. And he's not a bad emperor, he's a pretty good one. But he can be overshadowed by a few other people. Number 4, we have Diocletian. While some people may consider Diocletian an evil devil who decided to persecute Christians, and while he did persecute Christians, he also reunified the empire, and once it's settled down, he split them into tetrarchies. And while that in theory would sound like complete suicide, which it is to most empires, Mongols, he managed it pretty well. He reduced the inflation of denarius. He was a great administrator, and now that Christianity isn't on the rise anymore, well, let's just say not as many people would want to sort of tear down their ancient temples. Number 3, we have Hadrian. Well, why not Trajan? Some people might ask. Don't worry, we'll get to him later. Hadrian, the successor to Trajan. While not as good, he was still a pretty great dude. For one, he created Hadrian's Wall, a lasting legacy today. Well, which also protected the front of Britannia from Pictish raids. At the same time, he oversaw the completion of the Pantheon, which is still standing beautifully today. He put down another Jewish revolt, and that's his entire legacy. Well, that's pretty much his entire legacy. But he was like his father. One more thing, he also liked going around and asking everybody, "Hey, is there any problems here?" Instead of staying back like pretty much every other emperor. And that's why he's a pretty great dude. Number 2, we have Trajan. Other than his haircut, he was probably, some historians, he's known as the greatest emperor of all time, Roman emperor of all time. The reason they say that is because, he brought Rome to its extent, at least in area, and I agree with that too. He conquered both Armenia, parts of like Saudi Arabia and Mesopotamia. And on the western front, he destroyed Rome's biggest threat, Dacia. After settling that down, he built Trajan's Column and Trajan's Market. While Trajan's Market is slowly decaying, Trajan's Column is still around today, telling us that A, the Romans had the world's first facepalm, and B, though slightly less important, events of the Dacian Wars. He died of heat stroke in Mesopotamia while coming back to Rome. Number 1, we have Dank Augustus. Well, why do I have Augustus? Well, didn't he end the Republic? Well, for one thing, the Republic was inevitably going to end. First with Gaius Marius, then Julius Caesar, and Augustus was just the final pin in the coffin. And after he began his reign, he was a pretty good dude. For one, he began the construction of the Pantheon. For 2, he restabilized the empire after it sort of broke up. Yes, for and he managed to cope Teutoburg Forest pretty well. Just firing, just never raising that legion's flag ever again. For weeks, just saying the same line. Quintilius Varus, giving back my legions. Just, the normal. He also regulated the height of buildings in the cities, and he created the Praetorian Guard, both dictatorial musclemen and protection people. Also mostly ceremonial people. And he helped increase Rome's population by creating a single tax. And that's all. Those are my best Roman emperors. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Remember, subscribe to PewDiePie. Yes.